Hello again, and it's time for another project. Today we're going to do a little routing work on this image that my son had drawn 25 years ago. He was roughly about the age of 4 or 5. We'll go for 5. And this is one of his little first drawings he ever did. And we've kept it in this frame for over 25 years. So we pass it every morning on the way up the stairs. So I thought it's about time we take it out. I literally just took a photograph of it on my mobile phone, printed it off like so, as you can see from that, basically to any size you would want to. Ignore the coloration, it just the inks on my printer were just about ready to go, but I wasn't interested in the colour, I just wanted the outline. So I've blown it up to the size of roughly 12 inches by 8.5 inches, A4 size. And I've stuck it down to this recycled pine. This would have been a wardrobe or a table in the past. I spent 10 minutes to cut it to size. I've sanded it all down nicely and literally just rounded off the edges, all with a little mouse sander. Nothing too fantastic there. We've stuck our image down with painter's tape just to get it in place, and we've popped good old carbon paper underneath, and I'll literally just draw around all the lines like so. Takes 5 minutes to do. And that has transferred the image onto there nicely. So there's our little template for today. And all we're going to route out on this one is just the black lines. On all my previous videos, I always say route up to the line outset, route up to the line inset. On this one, all we're going to remove are the black lines with a CNC bit. Once we've done all our lines, we put a bit of black paint on, give it a sanding down, and then basically we're just going to paint it all in, hopefully somewhere near to what we have on our original one there. Now remember, that's 30 years old. No, sorry, that's 25 years old. So the colours are faded, but we'll get something from that. We can work out what we want from that, and hopefully it'll be a bigger version on this recycled pine. So as always for me, CNC bits, and that's all we're going to use. Nice 20 degree, hopefully that gives enough of a line when we come to route it out. And the 20 degrees, just that point there. Obviously the deeper we go in, the wider the line's going to be. Lift it out slightly and it won't be as wide. So we do a couple little sample pieces on a piece of wood. They come in 20s, 30s, 15s, eBay or Amazon for me. They do have a small size shaft, a 3.175, and they will fit a Dremel no problem if you have a Dremel router attachment. But for me, we need a reducer collet, 6.35mm. That literally slots into there. That will now fit your 1/4 inch router, no problem. And we'll only just do the lines. These projects are easier because you are just doing the lines. But yeah, there's a little bit more pressure. You start going around here and you start running off the line and stuff, well, it's not going to be quite as near as what we want it. Whereas when you're taking out the bigger sections, it's a lot easier just to go around and remove all that. So a little bit more pressure. Do hold your breath in a couple of places, especially when you get something that's more delicate around here, but we'll see how we go. So we'll pop that in a router. I'll do a couple of samples till we get a thickness of a line that we want, and it's just going to be a simple case of hopefully ending up with something like this once we're finished. Right, just before we start routing the lines out, I've done a couple of sample ones on a bit of scrap wood of the same type, just to find the thickness of the line. If I just get it in there, there we go. So obviously the deeper we go with the CNC bit, the wider the line's going to be. We don't want it too thick. So I've just raised it up. The more you raise it up, the smaller the line. If I can get right in there, you can just see slight difference in thicknesses. And I found one that I'm comfortable with, which is that one there. So that's the depth we're going to work at. Just pure guesswork. So I'm happy with that one. So we'll stick at that and we'll just start routing this one out. Right, we've made it all the way round with that CNC bit, 20 degree. That's done those lines nice. You can just about see from there. We'll go over it again just quickly with a little engraving bit, nice pointed one like so. There we go. Just attached to a flexi cable, which obviously attaches to the end of your Dremel. They're ideal just to get in there, just give them a little bit of a clean out, and make some of these slightly a little bit wider, so they're a little bit more like they are on the photograph. So quick tidy up, then a little sanding down, just to get rid of any little pencil lines we haven't quite got right, and then we'll be ready for popping some painting. Right, that's enough general tidying up and cleaning up for me. We've got all our bits out of the routed out line areas, and you can more or less see from that. We're ready to put a bit of black paint in now, and then we'll sand it down, and hopefully we'll have a nice black outline, and then it's just a simple case of painting in what kind of colours we can find. Now I have a black spray. I've never sprayed my woods personally. I've always hand painted with a brush. Just got a nice little stiff brush we found in the drawer there, and it's just going to be simple painter's touch paint. I managed to find a nice fresh tin, so we're literally just going to fill in these lines. I've not put anything on this wood. I've not treated it with any wood sealers or anything. You can get paint bleeding into the sideboards, or you can spray a bit of varnish on first just to seal it all, and then put the paint on top. I'm just not going to bother with this. In fact, I'm not going to be too concerned if it does bleed in. I think that will just add to the overall old felt tip kind of effect, if that makes sense to you. So I'm going to take a chance and literally just start filling this in. Just get your nice little stiff brush and get right inside those joints here, straight to your paint pot, and get them all filled in nicely like so. Remember, we are going to sand it all down, so it's more important to get inside those little tight areas. Just make sure they're all nicely filled in. We'll go over the old piece like this. Some pieces I've actually go over twice, because you'll find a little white bit of wood showing through. You can get a little Sharpie pen and just dab your bit of black on that way. Okay, we'll get the general idea from this. You can just throw it on, it's nothing too fantastic. Obviously, the more paint you put on, the longer it's going to take to sand off. So I'll continue with this, and then when we come back, we'll do a bit of sanding, and then we're down to finding some watered down acrylic paints just to finish it off with. Right, that's all sanded down nicely. No issues with that. Just a slow process. The only thing I do find with these small little routed out lines, and it's hard to see now that they're even routed out, but they are, is obviously when you're sanding it, it pushes the sawdust into the grooves. So every so often, give it a blow off your little compressor, or just give it a nice brush down, and that just helps get all your bits out. And we can see from that, we've not had really any bleeding into the wood. If you want to be really picky, and remember, we are going to paint all this, so it doesn't matter. You can get right up there. You might not even see it. There, look, just a little droplets, just where we've gone across the grain. There, your little bits, and I'll be honest, that's all I can see. Get right into there, look. And we've had no sealant on here, no varnish, no spray, and it's just recycled pine. So, as regards to bleeding, I'm happy enough with that. Okay, you might just see my breath coming over the camera there. It's quite cold today, so we're going to go indoors now where it's nice and warm and basically just paint this up. We're not going to put any boiled linseed on for now. We're just going to hope that the final varnish spray that we're going to spray on will just darken this wood down slightly. So no boiled linseed for me. And we're just going to use cheap acrylic paints. I do apologise, I'm out of breath. I've just come running across the yard. And then we just give it a nice paint over. We're going to get a fair bit of water. We want it to soak in. We don't want massively over the top strong colours. We want it to be a bit of a faded look, but we're not going to get it like the original because that's 25 years old. Okay, let's go indoors where I can catch my breath, and we're literally just going to paint this one out. Right, that's it. This little project is finished. Now I'll give it 3 or 4 coats of a 151 clear lacquer. Any varnish that's kicking around, I have no preference. And it's just enough to darken it down and give it that little enough shine. It's an indoor piece, so we don't have to be too crazy. And you can see from that, it's a nice finish. I compared it with the back. You notice there, I've just put a slit in there. Just literally just route out a slit. And that's ideal for hanging. Plenty deep enough is that. And by the time you've got a nail in there, it will sit flush against the wall. You could spray the back if you want to. Not something I've done personally. And that's our little project finished. Come out really nice. The hardest part for me personally was actually painting it like a 5-year-old. So we've deliberately missed pieces out. And we've gone over there slightly. More or less identical to the original as I could get it. But this was done 25 years ago, was the original drawing. I'm going to show you now. And for a 5-year-old, I think it's done okay. So there's the one we did on the wood. And there's the original image. Just a 4x6. He did it at the age of 5. He's 30 now. So you can see that I've more or less got it not far off what the original one was. So it's okay. I've enjoyed it. It's been a good little project. And this one is finished. So he measured in at 12 inches by 8.5. Remember, we use the CNC bits just to route out the black lines. And then we popped a bit of black paint in there, sanded it all down, and then we just painted it with acrylic paints that we water down, just so it soaks in nicely and you get a lovely finish on that. As you can see, that's come out really nice. I must admit, I'm quite pleased with this one. And there we go. Hopefully in 25 years, it'll still be kicking around. And the colours might be the same as that one. We don't know, do we? Just enjoy it. Just to do what you want to do and have a good time. I've enjoyed this one for sure. Thank you very much for watching.